Genghis Khan burned cities and killed millions, yet his most powerful story was loyalty to one woman behind all this brutality. Behind the armies and executions, a quiet, personal bond influenced decisions that history later blamed only on conquest. At the center stands Börte, not a concubine, but the woman whose status defined who could rule. Through capture, rescue, marriage, authority, motherhood, and death, this story explains how private loyalty shaped public empire decisions. This is History and Society, where we explore how systems quietly shaped civilizations long before people understood what was happening. Part 1. Before the Empire, when love was a risk. Temujin was born in Mongol grasslands where raids, hunger, and revenge shaped every camp, every horse ride, and every family decision. After Temujin's father was poisoned, rival clans abandoned the widow's tent, taking livestock and leaving the family exposed to attackers. Temujin and his brothers trapped fish, hunted small animals, and watched strangers steal food, learning early that mercy was rare. Marriage in this world was a treaty with gifts, horses, and guarantees, not a private romance between two young people. Temujin was promised to Börte, a girl from the Ongirat, and he rode to her camp carrying furs as bride gifts. Börte's family offered protection, kinship ties, and political legitimacy, things Temujin needed more than comfort, wealth, pride, or lasting peace. Temujin married Börte while still poor, with only a small escort, and he built a new tent beside her family. Not long after, Merkit raiders attacked the camp at night, seized Börte, and dragged her away on horses into darkness. In Mongol custom, many men replaced kidnapped wives quickly, because rescue meant risk, shame, and death for their grieving husband. Temujin refused replacement, and he gathered allies, weapons, and riders, even though one mistake could end his life quickly forever. He asked help from Togrul of the Karaites and Jamuka, offering gifts and promises to secure warriors for battle together. The rescue force rode through forests and rivers, tracking Merkit camps by smoke, hoofprints, broken branches, and frightened captured scouts. They attacked the Merkit camp before dawn, scattering guards, cutting ropes, and pulling Börte onto a horse behind Temujin's men. Börte returned to Temujin's tent, bruised and exhausted, yet her return signaled victory, loyalty, and rising leadership for him publicly. Soon after, Börte became pregnant, and whispers spread that a Merkit captive might be the child's father, not Temujin himself. In that culture, such doubt could ruin a woman's honor, destroy a child's status, and split a household into enemies. Temujin publicly accepted the child, Jochi, holding the baby before witnesses, and declaring him his son for everyone to hear. By protecting Börte and Jochi, Temujin gained moral authority, but he also planted a future argument between powerful brothers later. Enemies mocked him for weakness, yet followers admired loyalty, seeing a leader who kept vows even when costly and dangerous. Börte's position became the center of legitimacy, because her marriage happened before conquest, before titles, and before empire building began. As Temujin gathered more tribes, Börte organized tents, food stores, and marriage links, turning a small camp into clear order. Temujin's rivals feared not only his sword, but his growing household, which looked stable, disciplined, and ready to rule soon. Love and legitimacy merged inside one tent, and that tent shaped who could rule after future wars finally ended for good. Temujin's strength increased, but the secret doubt inside the family stayed hidden, waiting for power to make it deadly. When Temujin began naming heirs, the old question about Jochi would return, and Börte would be tested next. Part 2. Power, legitimacy, and the woman above. All others. As Temujin gained followers, camps expanded with tents, horses, wagons, weapons, and families gathering around his growing authority each season. Börte became the central woman in the main camp, seated above other wives during councils, feasts, oath ceremonies, and public judgments. When Temujin was declared Genghis Khan in 1206, Börte was recognized as Great Empress, the highest female rank in Mongolia. Other wives served alliance purposes with different tribes, but only Börte's household represented legitimacy and political continuity for the empire. Her sons, Jochi, Chagatai, Ögedei, and Tolui, were publicly acknowledged as rightful heirs inside the ruling family from the beginning. Children from other women existed, but they remained politically secondary, lacking the same inherent strength, titles, and public recognition for everyone watching. Börte managed camp supplies, food stores, marriage ties, and internal disputes, while Genghis Khan led campaigns across distant territories without rest. During long wars, messengers carried orders between battlefields and Börte's court, linking conquest to domestic administration every single day across the moving camp. This trust showed her role was functional and powerful, not symbolic, decorative, or ceremonial in the eyes of outsiders at a glance. Foreign envoys understood Börte's status by watching seating order, gift exchanges, and who could speak first inside the tent during formal visits. Succession debates always returned to Börte's sons, even when rival commanders or relatives tried pushing other candidates forward publicly again and again. Questions about Jochi never vanished, but Börte's position kept peace by forcing public respect, restraint, and careful language in every meeting. Rival sons resented this protection, believing legitimacy flowed through maternal rank rather than personal courage, skill, and battle victories in public courts. Börte's presence restrained early civil conflict, because insulting her household meant insulting the empire's legal foundation in public for all to see. Mongol law reinforced her rank through ritual, tribute, and precedence, making her tent the political center of the court at all times. As conquest accelerated, Börte ensured continuity at home while violence reshaped cities, trade routes, royal treasuries, and captured lands for years. Power expanded through armies and fear, but stability flowed inward through Börte's household rules, discipline, and daily management inside the main camp. Genghis Khan trusted Börte's judgment on loyalty, punishment, and marriage alliances because she understood tribes, debts, and personalities very clearly. This partnership blended conquest with governance and violence with internal order, keeping the growing empire from collapsing into chaos from within. No other woman challenged Börte's authority, even as wealth, captives, and prestige flooded into the Mongol court each year without debate. Over time, age, travel, and exhaustion weakened Börte's health, and her appearances at councils became less frequent in later years. Records grew quieter about her daily work as campaigns intensified and the empire stretched across huge distances, month after month. Her influence slowly faded from active governance, while sons and generals competed more loudly for attention, favors, and appointments inside councils. The empire expanded, but its emotional center weakened, because Börte had been the bridge between family unity and rule every day. When Börte finally died, the peace between brothers cracked, and Genghis Khan faced the hardest decision of his life overnight. Part 3. After her death, when the conqueror changed. Börte's death removed the one person who balanced family loyalty, royal legitimacy, and emotional calm inside the fast-growing Mongol imperial court. Genghis Khan kept conquering cities, but the main camp felt colder, with fewer family councils and more rule by written orders. Without Börte present, sons argued harder over inheritance, seniority, and who could speak for the dynasty in public gatherings each season. Jochi's legitimacy stayed questioned, and Börte's absence removed the strongest shield that once kept this dispute from turning violent for everyone. Chagatai and other brothers challenged Jochi openly, and the tension spread through tents, guards, and generals watching carefully every night. Genghis Khan delayed clear succession choices, knowing any announcement would anger at least one son and split loyal factions immediately. The empire expanded outward with armies, yet unity inside the royal family weakened as trust was replaced by fear and suspicion. Börte's tent once mediated conflict through respect and presence, but now generals and strict law replaced that human balance inside court. Genghis Khan became more distant from family matters, focusing on logistics, punishments, and appointments across enormous conquered territories day after day. Records describe fewer domestic decisions led by women, and more decisions pushed through commanders and officials after Börte died across councils. Power became colder and more mechanical, relying on hierarchy, discipline, and enforcement rather than personal loyalty and persuasion in practice. The conqueror who once risked everything for love now ruled through structure alone, with no trusted partner beside him daily. Börte's sons inherited land and armies, but none inherited her ability to hold rival ambitions together inside one family for long. Later, Mongol civil wars grew from these succession tensions because Börte was no longer present to restrain pride and anger. Her absence turned manageable family disputes into imperial crises, affecting trade routes, garrisons, taxes, and stability for decades, for generations. Genghis Khan's greatest strength, loyalty, became a weakness once the person he trusted most was gone from the camp anymore. The empire survived militarily, but the unity behind it fractured, and commanders began choosing sides in private conversations across the empire. Börte was gone, yet her influence still shaped every succession debate, because her marriage defined legitimacy in the first place. Love had created legitimacy for the dynasty, but love's absence exposed raw ambition beneath the empire's legal order at once. Genghis Khan never elevated another equal woman to Börte's rank, authority, or political importance, even with many wives available afterward. His later years show expansion without balance, driven by duty, fear, and systems designed to control millions of subjects without pause. History remembers massacres and conquest, but often ignores the private bond that kept the ruling family stable for years in reality. Börte's death marked the end of balance inside the dynasty, while conquest continued without the same inner restraint. The empire endured, but the man who built it was permanently changed, because loss removed the one safe place he had. Subscribe to History and Society to see how private bonds shaped brutal empires, and how love changed power itself today.